Who's the NBA's GOAT center over 7'2"? At number 10, we have Manute Bol, and if you think that this is too high for him, I encourage you to just wait for the rest of the list. At 7'7", Bol is tied with George Miroshon for tallest player in NBA history. His NBA career lasted from 1985 to 1995, and he was actually a two-time block champion. He averaged 5 blocks a game his rookie season. No one knew how his 200-pound frame would hold up, but he was pretty durable at first. He was fairly healthy for his first 7 seasons, and he even led the league in games played twice. But he's not higher on the list because the last several years of his career he was not healthy at all and barely played. And the most points he averaged per game in a season was 3.7. By far his greatest skill was shot blocking. He wasn't much of a rebounder and he wasn't much of a passer, but for some reason the father of Bol Bol will always be a part of NBA lore. Who's the NBA's GOAT center over 7'2"? Well, at number 9 we have Shawn Bradley. At 7'6" and 240 pounds, Bradley is one of the tallest players on the list. He was the second overall pick out of BYU by the 76ers in the 1993 NBA draft. He went 1 pick ahead of Penny Hardaway. Bradley averaged 8.1 points, 6.3 rebounds, and 2.5 blocks a game for his career. A 12-year career, the majority of which was spent with the Dallas Mavericks. He was a lot more durable than people realize. He was a much better shot blocker than people remember. And actually, he was more durable than people remember as well. I think people don't remember him as fondly as maybe they should because he got posterized more than maybe anybody in NBA history. But what you can't take away from him is that at one point he was one of the 400 best players in the world. Who's the NBA's GOAT center over 7'2"? At number 8, we have Zydrunas Ilgauskas. Big Z entered the league in 1996 and played a total of 13 years in the NBA. 12 of those were with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Big Z had terrible luck at the beginning, and he missed his first and 4th season in the league due to injuries. But Z turned it around, and from 2001 till the end of his career in 2011, he never played below 62 games in a season. Big Z was a 2-time All-Star, and he was a 17-8 guy in his prime. Overall, he was a pretty good scorer, but just a decent rebounder and shot blocker. He was one of the early teammates of LeBron James. Back then, LeBron said he needed more help, a trend that continues to this very day. Who's the NBA's GOAT center over 7'2"? At number 7, we have Kristaps Porzingis. The 7'3" Porzingis should be higher on this list. He is in fact nicknamed the Unicorn. He has incredible shooting range. He's a really good athlete. He has a high basketball IQ. And he was also an NBA champion, although he didn't play much in that playoff run with the Celtics. Had he stayed healthy, they would have been even more dominant than they were. When Porzingis was on the floor, the Celtics were almost unstoppable. He averages 19.6 points and 7.8 rebounds a game for his career. None of these super bigs are really good rebounders, surprisingly. For the NBA's supergiants, durability is a major concern, and it is Porzingis' greatest concern. He's only played in over 70 games 1 time in his career. The greatest ability is availability. Who's the GOAT NBA center over 7'2"? Well, at number 6, we have Victor Wembanyama. And full disclosure, I really wanted to put him at number 1. I do think he's the best player on this list, and ultimately he should be, as long as he stays healthy. He has a chance to be one of the greatest defensive players of all time. If he stays healthy and reaches his full potential, we're talking Kareem-level accolades here. Plus, there's the recent photographs that may suggest that he's a lot taller than 7'4". In a recent photograph with Tim Duncan, David Robinson, and recent Rookie of the Year Stephon Castle, Wembanyama looks like he's a foot taller than everyone else. And of course I'm being hyperbolic, but quite honestly he looks to be at least 7'5" or 6", if I'm being completely conservative. And with all his unicorn-like ability, he could be one of the most dogged competitors to enter the league in a long time. Been a while since we've seen that kind of fire in my opinion. Who's the GOAT center in NBA history over 7'2"? At number 5, we have Arvydas Sabonis. Full disclosure, he's probably my favorite player on the list. If he had started his career in the NBA, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. It took Sabonis 9 years to get out of his contract to enter the NBA. What we missed during that time was a 7'3", 290-pound unicorn who was dunking on people and smashing backboards. Oh, and he could shoot the ball from anywhere, and he was one of the best passing bigs in the entire world. By the time he got to Portland, he was really broken down physically. Injuries had taken their toll. Despite being a shell of his former self, he averaged 12 and 7 during his NBA career for some good Portland teams. Despite his physical limitations, he remained one of the best passing big men ever. His contributions to international basketball and the game as a whole have landed him in the Basketball Hall of Fame. But Sabonis is one of the biggest what-ifs of all time. Who's the NBA's GOAT center over 7'2"? At number 4, we have the dunking Dutchman, Rick Smits. This is a guy who averaged 14, 6, and 1.3 blocks a game for his career. At 7'4" and 250 pounds, we have yet another supergiant that underwhelms as a rebounder. He is, however, the second most durable player on this list, and he was a reliable shooter, and in his prime he scored 17, 18, 17, and 16 points a game. Keep in mind, his prime was in the height of the defensive-minded NBA. Smits, despite his size, was not the most physical player in the world. He was more of a jump shooter. He wasn't the type of player that did really well against, say, a Shaquille O'Neal. But the Pacers had Antonio and Dale Davis at the time, and they were really physical players. This allowed Smits to play more of a stretch 5 role. Smits was a solid complementary scorer to the Hall of Famer Reggie Miller. Who's the NBA's GOAT big man over 7'2"? At number 3, we have Mark Eaton. Mark Eaton, you say? Why is he so high on the list? A true NBA big man at 7'4" and 290 pounds, Eaton entered the league at 26 years old. He spent 11 seasons in the NBA, all with the Utah Jazz. In 10 out of his 11 years, he played more than 79 games, and he played in all 82 5 times. He was a 4-time blocks leader. He was a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. Eaton is still the NBA's all-time leader in blocks per game with 3.5. 1984-85 was probably his greatest season. He averaged 9.7 points, 11.3 rebounds, and 5.6 blocks a game in all 82 games. 5.6 blocks a game is still the all-time record for a single season. This was also one of his Defensive Player of the Year seasons. He finished in the top 5 in Defensive Player of the Year voting 6 times, and this was in the age of giants. Eaton had to match up on a regular basis with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Robert Parrish, Hakeem Olajuwon, Ralph Sampson, David Robinson, and Patrick Ewing, to name a few. Shaquille O'Neal said that Eaton was one of the only people on earth that made him feel small. Who's the NBA's GOAT center over 7'2"? At number 2 overall, we have Yao Ming. Depending on your source, Yao is either 7'5" or 7'6". I think a lot of people are going to disagree with this, but I'm going to explain why he's not number 1. For as great as Yao was at his peak, he really only had 4 healthy seasons. He averaged 19 points, 9 rebounds, and 1.9 blocks a game. He was a really good scorer. He was a good rebounder, not a great rebounder. He was a good shot blocker, not a great shot blocker. In the end, he simply couldn't stay healthy. And let me ask you another question. How many actual serious playoff runs did Yao have? Now, I know he also had injuries to Tracy McGrady while they were with the Rockets together. In 2005-2006, Yao averaged 25 points a game, but it was only in 48 games. I also think it's a false narrative, although not everyone says it, that he was some sort of Shaq stopper. He really wasn't. Shaq got his against him. But Yao is one of the biggest men to ever play in the NBA, and he's also one of the most skilled of the supergiants. A transcendent star on and off the court. Who's the NBA's GOAT center over 7'2"? At number 1, we have Ralph Sampson. And if you don't agree with that, I'm going to explain why. After being named College Player of the Year 3 times in a row, Sampson had very little trouble adjusting to life in the NBA. The number 1 pick of the Rockets made 4 All-Star teams in 3.5 healthy seasons. In 1984, he was the Rookie of the Year, and he averaged 21 points and 11 rebounds. He followed that up with 22 points and 10 rebounds. The following season, he averaged 18.9 points and 11 rebounds. During the 1986 playoffs, he and Hakeem Olajuwon led the Rockets to a finals berth. They beat the heavily favored Lakers in 5 games, and they lost to the 86 Celtics in 6 games. Unfortunately for Sampson, injuries did hamper what could have been a Hall of Fame career. At his peak, he was the best of the supergiants. At this point, the only man that could take this crown from him is Victor Wembanyama, and he could take it by a mile. Let's hope he has better luck with his health than the great Ralph Sampson did. Let me know in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching Powerlifting News USA. Out.